Hello everyone. This is your Krishna from Women Today's YouTube channel. In this channel, we are just interviewing many women entrepreneurs and working women across the world and across India. So, today our guest is from Tanzania. Her name is Purva. Am I spelling it? I mean pronouncing it the right way, ma'am? Purva, ma'am?
Yes, it's Purva. It's Purva.
Yeah. Okay. So, please.
My surname is a different story. It's Purva Dashottar.
Yeah. Okay. I'll address you by the name Purva. So, please introduce about yourself to our audience, ma'am.
Hi guys, this is Purva here. By profession, I'm a chartered accountant and a company secretary. But in the last 10 years, I've worked in many different verticals, including creativity and starting my own startups. And now I've started my own channel as well, which is called Grow with Sangra, which is a name of my mother and father included. So it's Sangeeta plus Raman, as in Sangra.
So, for how many years have you been in this chartered accountant field, ma'am?
I completed in 2016, so it's going to be a decade next year now.
Oh,
And
great.
company secretary, it's been 10 years now.
Great.
I'm old.
Please tell us your experience from moving on from India to Tanzania. Because since after your college days, did you get directly a chance to move to Tanzania, or is it like you work for some years?
No, no.
Yeah.
I worked for 8.5 years in India and I moved to Kenya in 2023, January 2023. We worked there for a year and then we came to Tanzania. Tanzania has been our home for a year and a half.
Yeah. Okay. So Tanzania is basically you're in Dar es Salaam. Am I right, ma'am?
Yes, Dar es Salaam.
Yeah, okay. Because speaking about Tanzania, I have heard a lot of stories. Because is it safe over there? Because I heard a lot of stories that it's very difficult traveling over there in Tanzania. Once you land in Tanzania, you'll be having a lot of difficulties over there. So, but the life
No,
there is
no,
okay.
no, that's not true.
Okay, so
Yes, it's good. Yeah, everywhere is the same. If you go and seek out trouble, trouble will seek you. So as long as you're not going into any shady places or not going out at 2:30 night or so, it's all safe. Having said that, people here are scamsters, so you need to be very careful with your money.
speaking about other things, so tell us what is the probability of having a good job in Tanzania? So, is it like what would you advise? Better be in India or move on to Tanzania, ma'am?
I think that's a very personal question, but I'll tell you what, if you're moving to Africa, I'm not talking about US or UK, but specifically as Africa and East Africa, I think people with moderate skills can also do really good here because people are needed here, skills are needed here, there is a lot of scope. Even for business, there's a lot of scope. So I always keep telling my family and friends that, here there's a lot of scope for business, a lot of scope for import export. So it's a good place to be in. But at the same time, you will have a lot of trouble getting your work permit if your work experience and your education are not in the same background. For example, my education is in finance and auditing and accountancy, but my work experience was in cross functional roles like a manager. So that was a very difficult conversation to have. But
So,
as long as you're doing what you studied, it's good to go.
but the thing is that people over here in India, what they do is they do study biology in their school days. They do study engineering in their college days. They do field marketing or kind of marketing works when they do work. And
Yeah.
this kind of different credibilities. I mean, this kind of different things. Does it offer the work permit to come to Tanzania, ma'am?
Yes, you need a work permit, and that's the beauty about India that we actually have the freedom and a choice to do whatever we want to do as long as we give our 100%. That beauty and choice does not exist in every country. That exists in the country where you're the citizen. But if you're coming to Tanzania, one, you need a job offer, and then the company applies for a work permit for you. Then you have to fill out a form and everything, and they decide if they would want to keep you. And that decision is not personal. They would want to obviously give more opportunities to their people. So they would see if you're actually needed here. So that is why if all of your education and your experience has been in the same field, it makes it an easier decision for them. It's very difficult to find somebody who has studied, like in our country. For example, me, I studied finance, but I was doing marketing and I was doing creative stuff. But here it's very difficult to find such people. It's not very common here. And they have a very difficult time understanding that as well. That, okay, you studied that, then how are you doing this? How does this work? So that's a major cultural difference between India and Tanzania.
Speaking about cultural differences, so how is the food over there, ma'am? Because is it very tough to survey over there?
No, no, no. I've been in 2, 3 countries out of India by now, and I'm going to say this out loud. अगर उस country में गुजराती है तो आपको सब मिल जाएगा. Gujaratis have done an amazing job of getting everything from India to this place. We'll get everything. There's a whole lane called Temple Lane, which is a purely veg lane, and you will get everything. You will get all the spices there, you will get all the pulses there, whatever you want to eat, as long as you know how to cook. And even if you don't know how to cook, Gujarati people have now trained, the houses, they're called dadas here. So they have trained the dadas to cook Indian food. So you can easily just get somebody to come, and they would be African, but they would know all about Indian food. They would cook Indian food. So that's actually amazing here and very unlike US. So if you're somebody looking to get a good lifestyle, a very stable lifestyle, and not work a lot yourself, Africa is better than US. US may you'll have to do everything yourself. Africa, people are lining up to work for you. So that's the great thing.
So, what's the difference between this India and Africa? Like, what are the advantages that you can get when you move to Tanzania, and what are the good things that you see when you move on to Tanzania, ma'am?
So I think one of the biggest advantages, and me and my husband often discuss this, is that if you are say 90 plus in your school, and you're doing good in your college, and you've been to a decent college, paid a hefty fees to be to a decent college, and then also you're 1 in a million in India. But if you have done all of that things, you are 1 in 1,000 in Africa. So the odds are not stacked against you. Indians, they're very skilled, and you would find basic skills out there very easily. That's not so in Africa. The education system is not as strong, so they don't have the same choices and chances that we do, nor the opportunities. So that ways, Africa market is good if you want to come here and jump up promotions, get more money. So then this is very good. But at the same time, here there is a lot of cultural difference. In India, we have a hierarchy. There are a lot of corporate hierarchies that go along, so many designations. Everybody has a very particular JD. They know that they're supposed to be doing this, otherwise they might just be replaced because there are so many people looking for a job. Here it's not so. So you have to change the way you interact with your team. You have to do a lot of things yourself. You cannot just rely on delegation here, which can be the case in India. Like my manager would give me the job and they would know that, okay, she'll get this done. Here it's not so. Here if it's your task, it's your task, and you have to take full responsibility and accountability for it. But at the same time, you get a chance to groom a team. You get a chance to actually mentor people. You get a chance to help them grow. So it's good and bad at the same time. It's how you take it.
So, how is the work-life balance over there? Like, you go to work at 9 and leave the office at 5. So, is it like do they make you work more than after evening hours? So, how is the work-life balance, ma'am?
It's better than India. It's better than India. You cannot go around calling people on the weekends and asking them to sit the entire night, which we had to do in India a lot of times. So you go, but we start our day much earlier than we do in India. Like in India, I used to go at 9:30 or 10 to my office. Here you have to go at 8 or 8:30. Like most offices start at 8, but they also end at 5:30. So it's good that you will get more time at home. Your routines will be set, and at the end of the day, you would be healthier because you would have good habits of waking up earlier, walking more. People walk a lot here. So it's good. You're just getting into good habits. For the first month, it might be very difficult, but then it's all sorted.
So, tell us about the kind of medical things over there, ma'am. Is it the expenses? Is it very costly, or is it like do we get like
Very costly.
consider it like
Yeah,
US or US will be taking an insurance, and no one can proceed a surgery like in India. Like in India, if you want any surgery, you can have it any day. Like the doctor will prefer you a week, and in that week you can also pick a date, specific date, like for normal kidney problems like that. consider like foreign countries like US, they'll be having some kind of a lot of paperwork going on there. We should consult even before we go into the hospital. We should consult with our insurance agents and tell us of the process about. I mean, we know as you said, it's very costly in Tanzania. But is it like we can go directly and meet the doctor? Like if we get any kind of fever or normal problems, is it like we can directly enter the clinic or hospital, or is it like do we have to maintain any specific procedures to enter the hospital? And what are the things we face as being an Indian, because we are totally a foreign person to them, right? So, what are the advantages and disadvantages in the medical industry that you are facing right now, man?
So two ways to look at it. One, it's very expensive. Medical care is so much more expensive here. I'll give you a perfect example. I just got some health care and I got to know that India may these tests would have costed me 9,000 and here I actually paid 35,000 Indian rupees for the same test. Same exact test, even though my sample was actually sent to Mumbai because they don't have the machines to test it here. So, as an Indian, you feel very outraged because you have had that care. You know that, okay, this is available in some less amount, but it is not so here. They don't know that all of these things are available. So, for them, it's quite they're normal. Secondly, if you're coming from India, then you're more protected because you should always negotiate with your company that you have to give me insurance as a part of the CTC because insurance is great here. Insurance is better than India here because outpatient is covered. So if I have a fever, I'll just go to the hospital. There will be a different section for each insurance companies. For example, mine is Mo Insurance. So I'll go to them. I'll fill out a form. They'll give me a set of documents that I have to carry inside. Then a nurse will do a proper checkup. She'll write down her comments. Then the wait is really sad. Like you have to wait 2, 3 hours, but you have to do that in India also. Let's be honest. And the doctor will see you. We have been very lucky to actually have doctors who have been very kind and very understanding. They'll give you an hour, they'll sit with you, understand everything that's going on. They'll write a lot of tests. Now, if you have a good insurance, you will not have to pay for anything. You just go, you give your time, you explain to the doctor, everything is covered. Like for us, we were lucky enough to, but then of course, you need to do a lot of research to select an insurance policy that would do that for you. But for us, we have one that we just go to the hospital, we fill out a form, and everything else is covered. And if something is not, then the insurance people will actually give you a call and they'll let you know. And it's quite fast. Like the hospital will write an email or give a call to the insurance call center and they would reply within like 15-20 minutes. So all you have to do if you're coming from outside India, you should ensure that you get the correct insurance. And the best would be to talk to your company that, this insurance has to be a part of my CTC because that's going to keep you protected. And if you don't have insurance, then either you have money or you don't have money. If you have money, everything is good here. Africa runs on money. So if you have money, everybody will take money and they'll let you go to the doctor immediately and do everything immediately. But if you don't have so much money to spend, then it's very difficult to get good care. So your best bet is to talk to your company, get a good insurance, and make it a part of your CTC. Don't think twice. Like we Indians have a lot of, we worry a lot. Oh, then my cash in hand would suffer and this and that. But dude, Africa, you will get sick. There's a whole, there's proven theories that Indians, when they come to Africa, their vitamin D drops suddenly. And we otherwise also we are known to not have good B12 and good vitamin D. So you might just get sick. So it's better to cover yourself and your family than to think about a little bit of cash in hand. So you need to make that decision very carefully. So my suggestion is that always go for a good insurance. Without good insurance, good medical care in Africa is almost impossible.
So we have made a thorough analysis of the medical industry over there. So please tell us about the kind of tourism. I can see a lot of people traveling to Tanzania to enjoy a lot of wildlife over there. So tell us about the kind of tourism. Is it only the wildlife things we can see over there, like different wild animals? Or is it like something other than, do you have any specific theme park, or do you have anything which is more exciting other than the wildlife sanctuaries and other the theme park things?
I think Africa, East Africa, even Kenya or Tanzania, Tanzania is beautiful. It has something for everything. If you're crazy about wildlife, there are about 12, 13 national parks that you can go and see and be very close to the wildlife, see them in their natural habitat. It's not that they have been drugged and you can just take pictures with them. You can actually see them being magnificent. You can see them playing with their families and just going around hunting and so on and so forth. But if you don't like wildlife so much, there's beautiful beaches, like amazing, beautiful beaches. Something called Zanzibar is there. Even Dar es Salaam has beautiful white sand beaches that you can go to and just relax. And the water is a lovely blue, very clean beaches. Of course, it's very hot. Zanzibar is so beautiful, but it's so hot. But again, if you have been living in Mumbai and going to Goa, you will not like us Indians won't mind it that much. But probably Americans would find it very hot. Other than Zanzibar, there's also mountains. If you're somebody who can trek, like I can't. I can't even think about walking for 7 days, but people do that. So there's Kilimanjaro, the second highest peak. You can climb Kilimanjaro. It's like a 8-day trek, and there's snow on top. It's a wonderful experience. I know people who have done it, and they've slept in sleeping bags at night. So if you're an adventure junkie, that's great for you. You can even skydiving here is amazing. I would suggest people who are adventure freaks to come to Zanzibar and to come to Africa once, because one is going to be less expensive than other holidays, but you would get all the experiences. If you plan your trip well, it would be wonderful. Go to Zanzibar, go to Arusha, go to Kilimanjaro. There's something called Morogoro here, which is again a very beautiful mountain. So you go to these places and you plan your trip accordingly, not according to the internet. Okay, we are only going to go to this place and then this place and this place. So, in India, people only know Africa as wildlife, Serengeti, but there's so much more. It's a beautiful place. So I really recommend people to come here. And even the flights are cheap. It's not like a very expensive affair.
So it will be like costing you per person like more than 90 to 1 lakh to visit Tanzania and other Zanzibar and other areas in Africa, or is it like you can do within
Yes.
50,000 per person?
50,000 you can do depending on the kind of person you are. Because if you want a direct flight, then you would be spending around 40K on the flights only, and then another 5K for the visa, and then another 5K for insurance. So here, even if you're coming as a tourist, it is mandatory to get your own insurance from a Tanzanian company, especially if you're entering Zanzibar, which is of course for your own safety, but it's $50 that you have to pay. It's a government fees, nothing you can do about it. And then again $50 for the visa. So $100 you would be spending, and then 40,000 for a round trip if you want a direct flight. But if you're somebody who likes to save money and you can spend more time, then you take a flight through Ethiopia or through Nairobi, and then you can get cheaper flights up to 30,000, 32,000. And then if you're somebody who can stay in hostels, there are so many wonderful hostels. You can get Airbnb for up to 5, 6 people for like 3,000, 2,000 per night, which would be AC and your own kitchen and everything. So you go to Zanzibar or you come to Dar es Salaam, you go to a supermarket, just a D-Mart types, you buy your own stuff, you take a cheap Airbnb, you stay there, cook your own food, then it's quite possible to do it in 50,000. But if you have a family, if you have kids, then I would say 80 to 90 grand per person is what you should be looking at.
So tell us about the kind of public transport over there, ma'am. Is it like feasible, like public transport, like if you take any kind of bus to reach the office from our home, or do you have any kind of connectivity over there? Is it safe to travel in public mode of transport over there? Do all buses have AC kind of things, or is it like very poor, and is it like too rich? Tell us about kind of experience. Have you traveled in public mode of transport like bus, ma'am?
So I have not traveled in the local. So they're called matatus. The iBus and the city bus that we refer to it in India. It's called matatu here. But no, I have not done alone solo traveling in a matatu, because that's not something that people often advise. But I like to say this on record. Africa is safe for women in terms of nobody is looking at you, glaring at you, making comments, or like trying to touch you here and there, which has happened so many times in India. But here they'll take your money. So they love money. So they would absolutely take your money. They won't look at you, they won't touch you, but they'll take your money. So if you are trying to wear a lot of jewelry and carry a lot of expensive things, you have to be very careful. Of course, there are good people and bad people everywhere. So you just try to focus on being, safe. But the public transport is not easy and accessible. So if you're a traveler, if you're a tourist, the only public transport that you will be probably able to use is from intercity. So like from Dar es Salaam to Zanzibar, you can use a ferry, which would be cheap for you. From Dar es Salaam to Arusha, you can use a bus, which would, so they don't have like those Volvo buses that we do. You just have to sit and like go in a bus that probably ran in India in the 2000s. जब हम छोटे बच्चे थे, we used to sit and go for 18 hours. That's what's happening here. So public transport is growing. They now are building the BRTS and everything, but it's not even near India right now. So if you're coming public transport ke bharose, don't do that. Plan your travel beforehand.
So, being a chartered accountant, do you have anything in your mind like, okay, we have moved on to a different country. So, do you have any idea that you have to work towards your passion? Like, other than chartered accountant, what do you think is your passion right now in this life? And what are your future ventures? What are your future aim that you're planning to do in Tanzania right now, ma'am?
So honestly, chartered accountancy was never my passion. But you are Indian, I'm Indian, so you would understand कि हमारे घर पे whatever parents say you're supposed to do that, and then you can do whatever you wish to do. And when I was younger, there was a lot of problems at home, so you had to start working quite early. So chartered accountancy आप खुद से कर सकते हो. It's a cheap course. Sorry for saying that, but it's an affordable course. You can afford it. So I wanted to fund my own education, and I did not find anything else than chartered accountancy and company secretary that I could fund myself. And of course, not the so I didn't go to a lot of coaching classes because they were very expensive and it did not make sense to me back then. But if you're somebody who wants to build your own future, wants to build your own culture, chartered accountancy is great because it teaches you accountability. You have to work while you're studying, so it teaches you how to be a professional. It teaches you the value of money, how to grow money, how to control money, which is very important. But when I started working, I jumped into management and I jumped into creative fields. I worked with brands like Lifebuoy and Fair and Lovely, and it was an amazing time. But now I've after a decade I made circle back to being a chartered accountant because I don't know, I just felt like there was so much information that I was not using that I had, and I really wanted to because there were always people near me talking about things that were just not making sense practically. So now it's ulta. I've made my round, and now I'm back to my actual passion, that is chartered accountancy and trying to make money and information accessible to everyone. I think knowledge should be free. It should be free flowing. It should be accessible. So that's what my passion project is.
So, if not during your early days, you told that you are struggling and you are trying to earn some revenue for the family. So, consider if you are allowed to travel towards your passion, what kind of passion you would be following, and right now, what would you think that you would be doing if you have followed your passion, ma'am?
Oh, that's a deep question. Probably be a writer.
Writer.
Yeah, because I used to, yes, yes. So
I write
when I was in high
novels.
school, I used to write a lot. I wrote a novel in high school.
Oh, what is the base of the theme, ma'am? What is the base of the novel theme?
I usually write fictions. That one particular novel was based on this little girl who just finds out that she has superpowers. Because I was also a little girl back then, so you know how your mind works. And the superpower was to actually be able to absorb other people's sadness and their anger. And she finds herself going around trying to make people feel better and this and that. And the story had ended with a very mythological twist where she then gets the opportunity, like she gets a choice that she can either pour out all the sadness that she has accumulated, but and she'll feel better, but it will go back to the people that she took it from, or she can just accept and live with the sadness. And she chooses to live with the sadness and stuff like that. It was 13, 14 years back, but it was never published. I never made it public.
So, do you plan to publish in the future, or do you plan to write?
But yeah, if everything had gone well,
Do you plan to
yes.
publish?
My mom. Yes, I do. Hopefully, my mom was very sick for about 25 years of her life before we lost her in 2020. And she was paralyzed for 10 years. And that's also why my career had taken a particular round. But it was her wish that there has to be a book about how can, people who have just become disabled, like people who are not disabled by birth, but have lost use of their legs or their hands due to some disease or some accident. So she wanted to publish a book for such people on how they can cope. And we were really grateful, and we had the means to treat her. And even though she was on bed, we had the means to give her everything. Like we could give her a house, we could give her good food, good physiotherapy. But she understood that a lot of people who are facing everything that she's facing don't have those means. So it was really her wish to publish a book which had everything, like how to make your house more accessible for disabled people, how to treat them, because it's a very psychological process. It can be very draining on the caretakers as well. So how to ensure that the family does not break off in such difficult times, and nobody has a very difficult mental state. And also how to do the exercises at home if you don't have the money to go to a physiotherapist. So I've been collecting a lot of information from different doctors and from my own experiences. We were so lucky. My father was such an innovator, so he had changed the entire house so that she could walk with a lot of support, and she could go to the washroom herself. But I know that a lot of people don't have that knowledge and don't know how to make life easier for themselves and their families. So that's what I'm focusing on right now, and hopefully that is what I'll publish first.
Yeah, surely that's a kind of good initiative. As you told that there are, I have a few people with me. As you told, they are just suffering with a lot of disabilities, like as you told right now. And I hope that your book in the future will make them survive, and also at the same time they will be able to have some good, happy, and success in their life by just reading your books, man. I just pray God, and I wish you all the best for writing your books regarding these things. And I hope that it will be published in the future, and not only in books, but people do read a lot of online articles. People do a lot of go through a lot of Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube kind of things. So hope you'll just grow these things, and people will be able to, instead of telling they're disabled, they'll be able in some kind of things which we are actually lagging in something. So hope everything might turn good in the future, ma'am.
Let's hope. But that was my mother. All she wanted to do was ensure that everybody around her was happy. So I want to take that legacy forward, hopefully.
So via this interview, if anything, if you wanted to tell to the people who are watching this interview right now, if you want to pass any kind of message, or if you want to tell any kind of things to the world, you can tell to them right now, ma'am.
I think there's only one thing that I would want to tell. Probably what I hope that somebody had told me when I was younger, that it's quite okay to be different. It's quite okay not to fit in. You don't have to try to change yourself just to fit into the cliques, and you don't have to feel pressured at all. It's all going to work out. Give yourself time. Just focus on yourself. Focus on skill development. Focus on being the best version of yourself. Focus on doing what you absolutely love and finding a way to earn money out of it as well. And everything else is just going to fall back in line. It's just time. Time is all that is required. So don't worry so much. Don't put so much pressure on your head. Just chill out.
So, if any kind of junior students who aspire to work in different foreign countries, being a chartered accountant, so what kind of course should they select, and also what job should they select in India? And after 2 to 3 years, how many years should they work in India? And what kind of jobs can they expect in Tanzania in the future? Tanzania, any country in the future, ma'am?
So if you are a chartered accountant, or you're going to become one in the next 2-3 years, please focus and talk to your chapter offices. आजकल ICAI के there are different chapter offices for ICAI, and they also work with international MNCs to get you job offers outside India. So you should really talk to the chairman of the chapter office and understand from there if there is any scope. Second, you should always try to maintain a certain consistency in your work. For example, if you started your articleship, of course, you would do different things, but try to maintain some kind of specialization. It may be audit, it may be compliance, it may be taxation, it might just be basic accounting, but try to be consistent, and then whatever sector you've chosen, if you've chosen just taxation, do some extra courses for international taxation. If you've chosen accountancy, then ensure that you have all the ERPs figured out, you know what is work, what technology is working in which country by the time the interview comes around, so that they understand that you're fit for that country. And the third thing is to always work on your communication and leadership skills. I think that's what the kids today are otherwise also doing. But ensure that you understand how the cultural conversations happen in that country. For example, if you're sitting in front of somebody who's in Africa, and if you just speak two lines of Swahili, because everybody speaks in Swahili in Tanzania, and they would want somebody who speaks that language. All you have to do is show that you've made an effort, and it's going to go a long way. So these three things can really help you secure a job outside India, and that would be great for you. It would be a great opportunity. You'll get to learn about international markets.
So, Tanzania. So, at last, what do you think? Tanzania, are you planning to move to a different country, or will you be able to survive in Tanzania, or are you planning to move to India in the future?
I think Tanzania is great, but Mera Desh Mahan, I would always want to be in India. And also, I have like 48 dogs there. So all I keep thinking every day is, क्या कर रहे होंगे, क्या कर रहे होंगे. I'm a huge dog mom. And I love my country. I would always, if I would want to start a business, it would be in India. If I want to make a product, it would be in India. If I want to employ people, it would be in India. That's just what a father taught us, that your country is supposed to be foremost. So while we had to come here to make ourselves better, get a more financial stability, I would always look back to come to India any day.
Okay, so tell us, Purva ma'am. So we have spoke a lot about kind of tourism kind of things in Tanzania, the kind of medical things about in Tanzania, and what more about work in Tanzania. So compared to India, people will be able to generate a little more revenue when they're working in Tanzania. And other than that, the work-life balance is okay with that, because in India, people will be working like even after evening hours, people managers will be making them to sit and make them work in order to finish the work. But in Tanzania, we'll be having some kind of things which will be able to try to work things even before the work hours, like before 5 o'clock. So that's a lot of things, a lot of knowledge which we got via you through, I mean, with the help of this interview right now. And the thing is that in Tanzania, consider if an Indian coming to Tanzania with a kid like around 1 or 2 year old kid, and if they wanted to make them study over there, is there any kind of Indian schools over there, or is there any kind of foreign schools? So what would they prefer? Would they prefer to make the kid study in Indian school, or is it like they make the kid to go and just study in foreign schools? Because consider if Indian schools, it will be only in specific places, but foreign schools like in Tanzania, it will be in many places, because that's their own government, that's their own private institutions running there. So consider if a parent is coming to Tanzania, will they allow the kid to just study in any schools in any, irrespective of it's a private or a government organization, or is it like, okay, even if it's very far, let the Indian children go to the what Indian schools in Tanzania?
So I don't have kids, but I'll tell you what I've understood from our friends here, that they do not prefer the local schools here because the curriculum is different and the level of education is very different. So they decide if they want to go back to India after some years, then they send them to the Indian school that is there, and then they would learn Hindi also, and they would learn the same curriculum that kids are learning in India. So when they have to go back, the kid won't suffer such a loss. But if you go to a local school and then you go back to India, the kid is going to be lost. In India, they won't be able to compete. But if they have to send the kid to UK for further studies or Canada for further studies, then they would go for an international school, which is not a local school, which would be an international curriculum like we have in India also. Then they would choose that because they would want to send their kids outside and they would want the kid to be trained in such a way. But local schools are not preferred by expats just because the level of education is not the same as it is in our country, and also the competition is not at all the same. Like kids are treated as kids, like they are not supposed to be these machines that they do 100 things together. And even the kids are not very interested or so competitive as they are in India. So if you want the same environment for your kid, you would want to send them to an Indian school. That's your best bet. And there's only one Indian school actually in Tanzania,
For the whole
which is run and operated by Indians.
for the
Yes,
whole
for Dar es
country.
Salaam. For Dar es Salaam.
Dar es Salaam. So Dar es Salaam is a city in Tanzania. Tanzania is a country in Africa. I mean,
Yes.
like a state in
Yes.
Africa, right?
Yes. So
Oh,
Tanzania is a country.
country.
East Africa, then yes, Tanzania is a whole country. It's a small country. Like it's Tanzania does not even have the same population as they visited in Mahakum. Like people here were so surprised. They're like, "Oh my God, the whole of Tanzania in one city," and we were like, "More than that, actually, we are a lot." But it is a beautiful country, and then Dar es Salaam is a city. So Dar es Salaam is more like Mumbai. So it's not the capital, but it's like the industrial capital
Hustling
here.
thing. You'll be having a lot of people move here and there, a lot of works going on there, like the Mumbai, right? Yeah,
Yes.
okay. Always, I mean, if a foreign, I mean, if a foreign people is coming in, like an Indian coming and visiting Dar es Salaam, so is it like, consider if you go any nook and corner in Mumbai, a little bit people can speak in English, like people like any kind of auto wallahs or any kind of people over dabba wallahs or anyone, like consider any people over there in Mumbai, they'll be try able to understand a little bit of English. But consider in Tanzania, would it be the same? Like they will be trying to understand English because is it very difficult to understand the very native language, or is it like if like in India there are specific cities where they will only speak the native language. Even if they know English, they will be trying to speak only in native language. So how the language barriers affect you in Africa? Like is it only the English that you'll be able to survive, or is it like you learn a specific African languages like hi, how are you? I want this food. What is the bus? What is the taxi? Where are you? So these kind of things, would you learn some certain stuff in Africa and try to converse them in native language, or is it like I speak only in English? So tell us about the kind of language things that
So,
you experience.
Africans are, especially Tanzanians, are very welcoming of Indians. So, if you're coming as a tourist and you don't know Swahili, Swahili is the language here. So, if you're coming as a tourist and you don't know Swahili, you can easily survive. Swahili.
Oh, can you
So,
please?
Swahili is very similar to Hindi actually.
Oh,
So, for example, you must have heard the song Hakuna Matata, right? As a kid,
Hakuna Matata, Timon Timba.
Hakuna Matata. That's actually Swahili. That's
Wow,
actually Swahili. It means don't worry.
don't worry.
So it's also Amna Shira. Yeah, Amna is no. So Amna Shira, don't
Hakuna
worry. Like
Matata.
food is called Chakula. Yeah, night is called Zioni. Home is called Nyumbani. But the similar things are like we say Dukan, they say Dukani. So, we say dawa, they also say dawa. So, a lot of similar words. So, it's also a little bit derived from Sanskrit. So, you'll be able to hear a lot of similar words here also. But even if you don't know any Swahili at all, as a tourist, you will be able to survive. There might be problems with the, auto walas. They're called tuk-tuks here. So, there might be a little bit problem with the auto walas or the bike people or, the small shops. But 90% people will understand a little bit of English, and they would also be very forthcoming. So they would welcome you, and they would be very happy that you've come. So they'll try to accommodate you a lot. And people here love Indians. So it's not like they would not speak your native language. Even if you're working here in business here, I've seen people who are here from 12 years and they don't speak Swahili at all, but they are able to survive. But at the same time, if you speak a little bit of Swahili also, people will be so happy. So they'll get so happy that you've made some efforts. If you go and say Abari Ako or Jambo, Jambo is hello. So they'll be very happy and
Jambo.
they'll go out of their
What is
way
it
to
by
like make you
Jambo?
feel. Jambo is hello. Hello.
Jambo.
Yes, Abari Ako is how are you? So Jambo, Abari Ako. Then if you have to say I'm okay, you say Mambo Poa. So those sort of things. It's a nice language. It has a very upbeat kind of a feel. But people are nice. So even if you don't know Swahili, you can survive easily. But it's always good and a show of respect. If you learn few words, that will always get you more love from the people here.
So tell us about the kind of holidays you're having in Tanzania, ma'am. Like consider if you're having kind of weekends over there, would they just travel around only in the borders of Dar es Salaam in Tanzania, or is it like they catch the flight to a very different country in Africa, or is it like in like Dar es Salaam, Tanzania will be having many cities. Like do they plan to travel to different cities during the summer occasions, or is it like people just go to India or just go to the foreign nationals wherever they belong to, man?
I think it's their choice also, but mostly inter-country travel in Africa is pretty expensive. So Kenya and Tanzania are like neighbors. Like we and Pakistan are, it's like that close. We share a border. But I will have to pay the same amount in flight to go from Dar es Salaam to Nairobi, the same that I'm paying from Dar es Salaam to Mumbai. So it's very expensive. Yeah. Even though it's like Bombay, Delhi, you are still paying like 30,000, 35,000. So it's not very
Can't you book?
affordable.
Yeah, can't. But in certain websites, like Indian online websites, travel websites, you can ask your Indian friend to book a flight for you from Tanzania to nearby countries in Africa. So it will be like very less fair, right? Because since you're
No. Not the same logic here. So
oh,
I don't know, but Africa, the economies of scale work very differently. So we also used to think the same way, but we have everything local. We have our phone numbers that are local, our address which is local. We have the permits here. For example, if I'm going from ferry, which is like a big cruise sort of boat, like Alibag, we take. So if you are going from ferry, you would be charged $35 for the cheapest seat, but I would be only charged 1,000 rupees or 1,500 because I have a work permit. But flight is not the same. Flights everyone has to like pay equally, which I have not understood why that happens, but that happens. Similarly, if you go to a supermarket in India, you would think that okay, if this thing is 1 kilo, it's for 500, then 2 kilo would be somewhere 950 or 980, and I would get some kind of discount. It's the opposite here. 1 kg would be 500, 2 kg would be 1,200. And you would not understand, like, then why would I buy 2 kg? I would just buy, but people go and buy 2 kg. So here, economies of scale is so different than India. It's very difficult to understand that.
so consider if any foreign national or any kind of people coming to Tanzania as a tourist, and if they lost their passport or if they lost their any identities, money and everything, like as you told that people are there are good people, nice people, but the thing is that they want some money, and because of this they try to get some money from the other people without their knowledge. So this kind of different things over there happening. I understand, but what are the first thing we have to do? Like, is it like we should directly go to the embassy, or is it like we people over there can help you by just guiding you what's going to happen? What will happen? Like what will be the
See, if
presence of mind
you
over there?
first you keep your passport and your yellow fever with you. Yellow fever is a vaccine that you have to get if you have to get inside of Africa. So those two things you need to keep with yourself at all times if you are a tourist.
I just want to ask,
Second, if you're in a situation,
what is that kind of yellow injection you told right now? Because as a tourist, if I come to
yellow
Tanzania,
fever,
yeah,
then also you need yellow fever.
you're telling for a tourist who are coming to Tanzania to just visit for 10 days, they should get this injection injected in their body.
Vaccine. It's a vaccine. Yellow fever is a vaccine. It's like even polio. When you return from Africa, in India, if you're not an Indian national, if you're not a citizen of India, they'll ask you for a polio vaccine certification because these diseases have been eradicated in India, but they have not been eradicated in Africa. So these are precautions from Indian government that if some Indian citizen goes there because we are not vaccinated for them because they have not existed in India now. So it's a precaution. It's not painful. It does not have any side effects. It will work for 10 years. They'll give you a handbook, small yellow or pink handbook, and they'll write that okay, you have been vaccinated. It can happen in any government hospital, and it's easy and it's government provided, so like 200, 300 rupees, not like very expensive, but it's for your own good. It's just to protect you from any unseen diseases that they might have.
So
So
you're
that
telling
is
that,
very important if you
yeah, you're
come here.
telling that if I land in Tanzania in the morning, like around 6 o'clock, the only thing after my immigration, I should go directly to the hospital and get myself injected with the yellow fever.
No, you have to get it done in India. So if you're wherever you're living, like in Mumbai, so you'll have centers in Mumbai. If, like I'm from Madhya Pradesh, so there is a center in Ames, Bhopal. You have to go and get yourself injected. It takes like 5 minutes. But the best thing to do is because what happens is when you enter during immigration, they'll check your yellow fever.
Yeah, that's what I
That's
meant.
a requirement. So if you don't have yellow fever, then they'll take you into a room and they'll like, okay, can you pay us some cash? And then every time you get caught in another city, they'll ask you for cash. So it's better to pay 200 rupees in India and be very secure than do that here.
So once after 10 days in Tanzania, they're visiting back to India or any kind of foreign countries where they belong to. Do they have to inject any other kind of injection in Africa, or is it like nothing other than that?
So for Africa, it's only polio and yellow fever. Polio, all like Indians are already
Already
vaccinated
having,
for
yes.
polio, so it's only yellow fever. Yeah, it's only
So
yellow fever.
we conserve because a lot of foreign countries before if you're applying for the visa things in online website over there, they're just asking, have you visited these kind of African countries like before 10 to 15 days? Now I understand why it's because of this kind of yellow fever
Yes.
injections. Yeah, I do. I do right now understand. Okay, ma'am, just proceed with that. We were just talking about a kind of things which one can do if they lost their passports or if they lost their important credentials like money, wallet, or anything like that. And if they just don't know what to do in Africa, so that's what you're trying to tell. Yeah, yeah. Please proceed with that,
Yes,
ma'am.
yeah. So, one, you should always carry two copies of your passport and all of your legal documents, including your visa. One, you should, the originals you have to keep with yourself, that's a rule. Another set of copies you keep with yourself in a handbag or something, and then one you keep in the locker in the hotel, so that there are different places where you have those copies. And you also should take down the address and the number of the Indian High Commission wherever you're going. It's not that you will need it, but it's always good to have. So we always make it a point that if we are going to a new place, we know the Indian High Commission there. Because if there's any problem, the High Commission are the only people who are going to help you out. So you'll have to go there, you'll have to show them these documents, they'll confirm with the Indian authorities back in India, and then there'll be a whole form and affidavit to fill, and they'll give you a temporary passport to travel that make that one trip so that you can come back to India. But Indian High Commission is going to be very helpful, and they are the people who can actually save you from any trouble in other countries. So always know where the office is. You should always jot down the address, keep it in your wallet, or know the area where you're supposed to be going, because they're the ones who are going to help you out in that situation. And if you're ever held by somebody who's asking you for money, at least in Africa, please remember that 10,000 rupees here is 500 rupees back home. Okay, so if because at once when you hear that okay somebody wants 50,000, you're like, oh, we can't do this. But you have to understand it's only 2,500. So do you want to fight these very well built tall people, or do you want to just get 2,500 and get your family out of there? So never try to act smart. It's just be very aware of your surroundings, and if by chance you're caught in such an unfortunate situation, which shouldn't happen if you have pre-planned everything, you give the money and get out of there. And don't try to, at least in Tanzania, don't try to go and contact the local police first. If you must, you contact the High Commission and let them know that this has happened. That is what we would suggest. And the first thing is you give the money, because if you can very nicely tell them, oh Kaka, I only have this money, please take this, and it's only going to be 1,000 rupees for you. But you will end up avoiding so much trouble. You don't want to act over smart in front of Africans if they have cornered you in a situation. So my suggestion is don't do that. Give the money, get out of there, go to High Commission, let them know that something like this has happened.
Answer any situation you're not having even to 22,500 rupees.
We
What will
have
happen?
had We have had we have had two such situations. One happened with my husband when he was coming from work and he was pretty late, and somebody on a bike tried to cut him off, and there was some incident, but nobody was hurt. But the other person got very angry, and they demanded money. And my husband said, "But there's no damage. You're not hurt. Your vehicle is not damaged. So why would we pay you money?" And he kept driving, and then 2 minutes into it, there were like 10, 15 bikes around him, and they like tried to stop him and then get into the car and stuff like that. And he had to pay like Indian rupees, he had to pay 3,000 to get out of the situation. And then another one happened because the map showed us that there's a shortcut. And we tried to take that shortcut, which led us to a no entry area. And this one person with like actual handcuffs came to us, and he was like, "Okay, so I am trying to keep this place safe." I was like, "Okay, we understand it, right?" So we do, and we know we have heard these things happening, so we don't keep all our cash in our wallet. So whenever something like this happens, we show them the wallet. Like, "Oh, this is the money we have. If you want, you can take this money and just like get it over with, and then you just exit the situation." But as a woman, it's not been scary. Like in both the situations, I never felt that my security as a woman is being compromised. I knew that I lose some money, but in India, I would have freaked out in a similar situation. I would have known that something very anomalous can happen here. But at least, devil's advocate, at least that doesn't happen here. They'll just take your money. So you give it to them and be over with it.
So you are telling that it's very difficult to travel in night time. But the thing is that what will happen if you have a flight to catch at night time from your home to the airport?
You
Consider
book a cab.
cab is totally safe.
No, you book a cab. Yes, cab is totally safe. You get a Swahili speaking driver with you, and that person will take you. So the locals here are very nice. So they would try to like, if we have a driver with us, the driver will talk to them on our behalf. Ki, please, these are tourists, and you shouldn't like do anything. But it's a very there's a lot of poverty. So I don't speak negatively about that because I understand they're just hungry. So just be nice to them, give some money. If God willing, you'll earn that money back. No sense of, putting them into a criminal situation and putting you into a dangerous situation. You just get a driver, good driver. That driver is going to drive you very safely to the airport. But if you pick up a two-wheeler and say that if you rent out a two-wheeler like in Goa and you say I'm going to go around myself, that's not something I suggest at night. No, no, no. You have to have a local person with you. But during the day, you do what you want to do.
So how for how many kilometers would we be able to see an Indian restaurant? Consider you'll be able to see a lot of restaurants, but for how many? Like for around 10 kilometers, one Indian restaurant, or for 50 kilometers, one Indian restaurant. Tell us about the kind of
Uh,
frequency of Indian restaurants.
so there are different areas, right? So in some of the areas, there's not even one restaurant for like 5, 6 kilometers. But 10 kilometers, I think you'll reach one small shop which is serving Indian food. Then there's a whole area which serves only Indian food and no African food at all, only pure Indian food. So there's no problem finding food here. Every 4, 5 kilometers, you'll have a shoppers which would have all Indian foods. A lot of like most of them are actually managed by Indian managers. So every 5, 6 kilometers, there's a shopper. You can go inside, you will buy, and even fresh food. 10, 15 kilometers, you'll find a fresh food restaurant for India. That's not a problem at all.
So why I'm asking for Indian restaurants is that I hope Indian people are working in Indian restaurants for every 10 kilometer in Dar es Salaam, so that if I need any help and if I want to talk to my home country person, I can visit that Indian restaurant and try to ask some help.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the thing behind the thing I'm asking about Indian restaurants, because for every
See
10
that every half an hour you will see an Indian. Like if
for
you're driving every 10 minutes, you're going to see an Indian. Every single signal, you're going to meet an Indian. Like you cannot go out without seeing Indians here.
oh my God, great, great.
Yeah,
That's
it's only the outskirts area that you will probably see less Indians. But Dar es Salaam is a cosmopolitan city, so Indians are plenty here, like plenty, plenty. Maybe if you go to like Morogoro or Arusha, there would be less Indians, but here Indians are plenty. You will be bored after a while. If you go to Temple Lane, you will think that, oh, I've come to Mumbai only. The shops are looking like Mumbai, the streets are looking like Mumbai. There is like one temple every 100 meters. So you would not miss India at all if you go there.
So it's totally like what to say. For every half an hour, you'll be able to witness an Indian over there. So it will be like, okay, we are in a safe place. That's what you're trying to tell, right?
Yes, yes. But all Indians will not speak Hindi. They'll probably speak Gujarati. So you should be ready for that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the thing is that
A
Indians
lot
can
of them
speak
who have not come
English.
from India.
Yeah, they can speak English, right? So not a real problem.
They speak English. Yeah, yeah. They speak English. That's okay. They
Most of
speak
the,
Gujarati. They speak English. They speak Swahili.
most of the people are from South India or from North India, mainly in Dar es Salaam.
Dar es Salaam, you have a healthy mix. Like I think most of them are Gujaratis and Punjabis. and then you have people from South Pakistan as well. So there's a healthy mix.
So other than that,
But the oldest ones are Gujaratis and Punjabis.
yeah,
Like,
okay.
Gujaratis came here 200 years back.
Wow, 200 years, like around more than 2 centuries back. Oh my God, that's kind of, oh.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like totally okay. Consider tell me that in foreign countries they'll be having a separate place for Indians. Like consider UK, they'll be having a separate place for Indians over there. Consider in Singapore they'll be having Little India over there, where it will be that area will be having around more than 1,000 Indians over there. Each and every shop will be hold.
Yes.
Which will be owned by Indians. Many people will be Indians over
Yes.
there. Like, is there any specific place in Dar es Salaam that holds fully Indians?
Yes, yes, yes,
What's
yes.
the
So
what's
town area is where most of the town area is where near Upanga is where most
what's
of
the
the
name
Indians
called?
live, and there's a street
What is
Upanga,
come again?
Upanga.
Upanga. Upanga.
So if you just Google, yeah, if you just Google Temple Street,
Temple
so
Street.
the entire name, yeah, Temple Street. So these are multiple streets, and they have most of the Indian temples are there. So most of the Indians then go there. So every Saturday, Sunday, you see all Indians just roaming around. There's a very huge Swami Narayan temple which is new, and they have like 10 floors and very beautifully constructed. They would have Sanatan Dharma temple there. They would have Brahmin Samaj there. They would have the Punjabis and the Jains. All of those things are just in one lane. So it's like literally 2 kilometers walk, and you would just think you're in India only. You have not exited India at all. It's like that. So Temple Lane in Dar es Salaam is where you would find everything Indian. So that's where you need to go if you're missing India at all here.
I think if people if they feel lost, or I think I got answer to my question. If they feel lost, if they lost their passports, or if they totally under don't know what to do in Tanzania in Dar es Salaam, I think they can go to Upanga, Upanga, Upanga. So
Yes,
that there
but
they
more
can.
specifically, Temple Street. Temple Street is just like one street. You can find the this thing. If you want to Google the directions, you write Temple Street, and the map will take you there. And every single person there is Indian, so I'm sure they'll help out other Indians a lot. All the shops are owned by Indians. All the buildings are owned by Indians.
So currently, after 5 to 10 years, where do you want yourself to be in Tanzania, or you should move to India or foreign countries? I'm asking you the same question.
India, India.
India.
India, definitely India. I am a thoroughbred Indian who wants to be in India, hopefully giving employment to Indians and building my economy up and my culture up. That's what I want to do. But of course, to be able to do that, you need international exposure. So this was also important. But roots are Indian, through and through.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Purva ma'am, for kindly accepting this interview and
Thank you so much. No,
giving
I
a
should be thanking you for this.
yeah, that's great. That's kind of mutual help. I do understand. So you have given a lot of information regarding Tanzania, regarding Dar es Salaam, the kind of medical help we can get over there, the kind of tourism industries over there, and mainly a lot of help what you can get in Dar es Salaam. That's a great thing. So people who are watching this Women Today's YouTube channel, please do subscribe to our channel. Please click the bell icon so that you can receive notifications regarding different videos of women entrepreneurs and women working in India and across the world. Like today, we are interviewing Purva ma'am. Basically, she is from Madhya Pradesh, but now she is in Tanzania, in Africa, in Dar es Salaam city. That's a great thing. We get a lot of people connected with us in different parts of India and also across the world. So via this interview, we just shared a lot of things. So regarding a chartered accountant works in Africa, if you want to have any kind of knowledge about it, and if you want to have some kind of doubts cleared, then you can just message Instagram link of Purva ma'am. I'll just share her Instagram link down here in the YouTube description. Have a look at it so that she'll be able to help you out by just getting the kind of questions from you, and she'll be helping you out by giving you the answers in Instagram. And if specifically if you have any kind of doubts, you can just ask in YouTube comments also. So whatnot. Thanks a lot, Pooja ma'am. So coming and join this channel, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, have a good day, good evening.
Same here. Bye.
Bye.